So I mentioned all the old sort of factory warehouse buildings off over here. But if you'll notice, you'll see buildings like this yellow brick building and also this white building here, the cheese warehouse with the glass balconies, kind of don't really fit with the aesthetic. This is the result of the Bristol Blitz, in which 919 tons of explosives were dropped on the city of Bristol. Ended up resulting in the destruction or partial destruction of 89,000 buildings across the city. And of course, with all this destruction, it does leave quite a large amount of rubble. Now, what to do with this rubble? You might think the most logical thing to do, really, would be to repurpose it to rebuild some of the buildings that have been destroyed. Not here in Bristol, though. The entrepreneurial Bristolians decided they were going to sell their rubble. Now, who's stupid enough to buy a massive pile of rubble? That would be the Americans, of course. So the Americans had begun joining the war effort, and they were shipping lots of this heavy military equipment here to Bristol. And after unloading all of these heavy goods, they needed ballast to weigh their ships down on in the water, and their journey back across the Atlantic, keeping them nice and stable. So we gave them the rubble from our destroyed buildings to use as ballast, and then when they got back to the States, they obviously didn't need it anymore. They began dumping it in the East River in New York. We ended up giving them so much rubble, it ended up forming a new part of Manhattan Island. It's called the Bristol Basin. It still exists today. There's a little plaque there dedicated to the 2,000 people who sadly lost their lives during the Bristol Blitz. I just find it rather interesting to think that parts of 1940s Bristol formed the foundations to modern day New York City.
Let's go find that fellow in there. That's a fellow there. Love to go.
Get me the pub Everyone woke up like that fake t-shirt.
So as we now pop out the other side of Prince Street Bridge, we've got this building off here to our left hand side, the M Shed Museum. It's an excellent free to enter museum. You can head on in there, learn all about Bristol and its history. Really interesting. They've got loads of great artefacts in there. They've got a really great exhibition on the Colston statue, which went in the water just down there below that sign that says Zar Zar Bazaar. They've got some more Banksy pieces in there, loads of bits of industrial history. My favourite thing they've got in there is a book found in human skin. So if you like books, and like me, you're also a fan of skin, then definitely worth going to check that out. Also, the M shed gives us quite a good glimpse into what Bristol would have looked like as an industrial port. There would have been up to 60 of these cranes all on railway tracks, moving up and down the harbour, lifting cargo on and off ships. And the M shed is an old transit warehouse shed. Just imagine that building without the glass. These would have been lining the entirety of Bristol's harbour side. There would have been one of these sheds for every letter of the alphabet. This one, of course, being Shed M. I'm actually told the logo designer for the M shed was paid £15,000 for coming up with the idea of moving the letter M to the other side of the word shed. So quite a lot of money there for not really too much work. So we're just going past this rather old looking wooden ship. It's not really that old. It's a replica of a ship that set sail for Bristol in 1497. This one was built to commemorate 500 years since that historic journey. Now I do say the word replica, that's a bit of a loose term to be honest. All they know about the original ship was its weight and its length. And it's quite hard to replicate something when there are no paintings of it. So it's not really a replica, but they've done quite a good job of recreating a 15th century caravel. So the original version of that ship was captained by a Genoan sailor and explorer called Giovanni Cavotio. He came to Bristol in search of a ship and a crew. As Bristol was notorious for having some of the best ships and even better crew anywhere in the world, and of course we still do today. So he found his ship and he found his crew, and he then realised that none of us Bristolians were accustomed to pronouncing exotic Italian names properly. So we took to calling him John Cabot. John Cabot and his crew were given instructions from the king to set sail looking for a westerly trade route over to the Spice Islands. On their way due west, they did bump into a small patch of land, blocking the way to the Spice Islands. They originally thought it was the east coast of China. Turns out it wasn't. So they decided to call the little bit of land which they had discovered Newfoundland. Of course, this land wasn't new for the people that already lived there. But yeah, it's in modern day Canada. They are, John Cabot and his team are the first documented Europeans in history to set foot on mainland North America. So yeah, that was